Welcome back to ReadingBear. Today, we will take a look at some new malicious compliance stories. And if you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comments. Let's go!
The first story is titled, I'm Not Allowed to Leave Early? Okay, I won't. Our store had been going through major renovations, official reopening, the works. There was a new department manager after I'd stepped down from that position, from too much stress and a lack of support from upper management. A little about the new manager, she was a nice enough lady, but perhaps more ill-suited to the position than I had been. I was helping her learn the ropes of how our department worked. All fine except for a major inability to self-solve, which led me to turning my phone off outside of my working hours. She'd call me constantly in a panic with minor questions that plenty of other people in store could have answered. The store manager was an all-stick and no-carrot kind of person, who treated every question and issue as an inconvenience. She was a nightmare to work for even if she liked you. Many good people quit when she took over our store. Myself included, after about 6 months. I'd worked for that company for 10 years. There was one particular day, where we were already going to be short on staff and it was a busy shopping day, Thursday, pension day. I needed to leave by a certain time in the afternoon, let's say 3 p.m, for an important doctor's appointment. I'd given plenty of notice, but the day before I was told I couldn't go. It was too late to reschedule without being charged the entire appointment fee. Cue whining from DM, but I need you, it's so busy and I don't have enough cover. What's this appointment for anyway? Me, it's an important doctor's appointment. I'm not telling you anymore because last time I shared with you, the whole store knew my personal business. DM, but what am I supposed to do? Me, I don't know, you're the manager. Q later in the day, I'm summoned into the store manager's office. I'm informed in no uncertain terms, that I am not allowed to leave early on this day, because the department is short-staffed and they need me. Being a meek little thing, I bend to my store manager's will. I say, okay, and shuffle off with my head down. Now, I'm understandably upset, my fragile mental state is in tatters. I feel that this is all really unfair and somehow wrong, so I call the only resource I have, the union. I'm crying and explain the situation to the kind lady on the phone. Now, because there was never any paperwork submitted for leaving early, normally rearranging shifts etc. was done verbally then updated in the roster, there wasn't anything she could do in an official capacity. But then she threw me a lifeline. You're going to the doctor anyway, right? You're within your rights to take a sick day, get your doctor to write you a note. They can't force you to come in, you can't get in trouble for it, and they will have to pay you for it. So that's what I did. I did as I was told, I didn't leave early. I called in sick and just didn't show up at all. Instead of losing 1 to 2 hours of staffed hours, they lost a whole day for being unreasonable bullies. The next day I heard all about how the department was chaos. I felt bad, but it also felt good to set a boundary with these people that were taking advantage of my good nature. The next story is titled, My Boss Wanted Me to Train My Replacement but I didn't work there anymore. I used to work in a grocery store back in 2016, I was 16 to 17 at the time. I don't work retail anymore, but I wanted to share this story I still remember to this day. It was a pretty normal night right before the end of my shift. I was one of the few closers at my store, so it was just me, my supervisor, and a cashier. I worked the self-checkout customer service desk. My supervisor had just collected the tills and was in the back counting, and I was starting my rounds to take back the non-perishables that were left at the registers. I also might add that our store had terrible camera placement. Basically it showed all the registers, and the supervisor's office door, which is where the safe was. This is important later. After putting up all the items that were left at the registers, I did my final checks of the store to make sure there were no misplaced, damaged item on the floor. I find a case of beer that was leaking in our beer, wine section, and since I wasn't sure how damaged the bottom of the cardboard case was, I had to drag it to the front so I could inform my supervisor about the damaged item before taking it to the back. We kept a carts full of damaged items to be taken out by the morning crew. Since the supervisor's office is locked while they are counting the tills, I call over to her and let her know that there was a damaged case of beer and I was taking it to the back. She responds with an absent, okay, sounds good. So I take it to the back, place it with the rest of the damaged items, and go back to the front to see if there is anything else my supervisor needs me to do before I clock out. There isn't. Next couple days are fine as I finish up the week and wait for the next week's schedule to be posted, and I find out that I'm not scheduled for the next week. I figure there must have been a mistake as there was someone working at the same grocery store who shared my first name. I go upstairs to my manager's office and ask him about the schedule and why I wasn't scheduled. He responds with a, "Oh, my bad, I forgot to tell you that you are suspended until the investigation is over. By the way, can you train your replacement today on the self-checkout customer service desk?" Me, confused and annoyed at the moment, don't really pay attention to the second part of his comment, ask him what he was talking about. My manager: "We caught you stealing that case of beer that you took to the back, and until the police investigation is complete you won't be working here anymore. Please turn in your uniform, name tag, and badge." I am furious, but I decide that I would just go with bit of MC in this situation. "Well, bossman, I took the damaged case of beer to the back to be thrown out in the morning as per procedure, but since I won't be working here anymore I guess you will just have to find someone else to train my replacement, since I clearly can't be trusted." I was the only person who could train someone for the customer service desk other than him. His jaw dropped. The look on his face was priceless as I took off my uniform and handed him my name tag, and override card. I then proceeded to walk out, get in my car and drive home. About 2 years later I joined the army, and I'm going for a job that required a security clearance. Guess what shows up? That suspension with an unfinished police report and the tapes from the security camera. I sit there with my interviewer as we watch the tape together, clearly showing that I did not steal anything. Needless to say, I was approved for my clearance. I ask if I can get a copy of the tape, and my interviewer agrees. It took 2 years, but I finally had the evidence I needed to sue for wrongful termination, but as the time is well over the statute of limitation, I am unable to actually do anything about it. Either way, I decide to go pay my old workplace a visit over my Christmas block leave, and a couple people recognize me, including my old boss. He tells me that thieves like me aren't welcome in his store, and that I need to leave or he would be calling the police. I told him to call them, and that his claim would surely hold up when I showed them the copy of the video footage of me stealing. The store had one of my favorite muffins, and honestly I really wanted one since they are only made there. The police got called and did nothing, and I got 3 muffins free of charge thanks to my favorite supervisor. Worth it. The next story is titled, "Call My Mum?" Okay. Junior year of high school I had a real knob of a math teacher, hereafter, Mr. K. Always picking on students and lived on failing people. I had an A in the class come interim report time, and he demanded everyone get it signed by their parents and returned. Usually this was reserved for folks with grades C or lower. I didn't bring it home and have it signed. Mr. K spent 20 minutes of class time sending all of us up to call our parents in front of the class who failed to comply. I was last, and all the other students with failing grades were fussing and sucking their teeth. I, however, couldn't wait. She has little patience for bullcrap. When it was my turn, I called my retired lieutenant colonel mother, then middle school teacher, in the middle of her robotics class. She was so worried that I was calling because at the time I was having a lot of health issues and had regular standing appointments on base to get injections every single day. I tell her Mr. K asked me to call because I didn't have my interim signed. Thinking I was failing, she demanded to know my grade. I tell her I have an A in the class. At this point she politely requests that I hand the phone to Mr. K. He has the smug look and just stares at me, thinking that I just got in trouble. Quickly he turns around and everyone can hear her barking at him for wasting her time enacting useless policies, and how dare he waste valuable class time as one teacher to another. He's quietly mumbling, "Yes ma'am, yes ma'am." He hangs up the phone and resumes class. I was never asked to call my parents again in his class. The next story is titled, "Don't Come in Tomorrow." I don't care who calls, you're suspended. Background: I have worked for copy shops for a very long time. I worked as lead production in multiple Kinkos, and subsequently I can make the copiers pretty much dance to any tune I set due to learning their ins and outs. Anyway, for a variety of reasons, mostly I'd moved, I got a job with a competitor, Icon, that stationed me closer to home, contract positions at client locations, in an incredibly busy, paper-oriented, banking company. My boss was a rather stubborn, close-minded woman, who liked to insult her underlings, of which I was one. When I started, I began streamlining her processes. Most of her time was taken up by physical labor which the copiers could do automatically. I pointed this out early on, to which she said, "That's the way we've always done it, and I like it this way." There was an implied threat at the end of that. Thankfully, we worked opposite schedules. So while she was there, business as usual, but I was blessedly alone for 6 hours after she and the others left. And crap got done while I was alone at work. Turnaround times would drop from 24 hours minimum, sometimes days, to less than 5 hours. The clients learned that if they brought their projects in after my boss left, they'd get them much sooner. All of this leads to the blow-up. Boss lady equals BL. Project client equals VC. Me equals trans 354. There are other co-workers, but they didn't speak up. I come into the basement shop early in the afternoon, and there are stacks of paper everywhere. Massive collation job. Which the copiers can do automatically, of course. I open my mouth to say as much, but BL, no. Don't touch anything. No touchy. She's a 20-something Italian girlwoman with maturity issues. Start working on the next job. I don't want you touching this one. VC is going to get this in the time I specified, not 1 second earlier. I don't think BL liked VC. BL's husband had gotten whiplash looking at VC one time, so there was a bit of jealousy. So I look at the email, and start pumping out jobs. All collation, ironically. Really small, really complicated jobs. All done and picked up by the time BL was packing up to go home. BL, I'm going home. Don't touch anything. This job is off limits. Trans 354, this job is off limits, don't touch it. 5 minutes after she leaves, VC calls. VC, is BL still there? No. I have massive edits to that job, it's like a whole new project. Trans 354, she point blank told me not to touch that project. VC, if the project isn't done by morning, I'll lose my job. I know this is hyperbole, but I have a way around BL, so send it to me as a new project, cancel the old project by email, sent only to BL, not to me, and I'll see what I can do. VC is appropriately appreciative, and sends the files over. I set the machines up, and everything starts printing. All I have to do is refill paper and put the automatically collated products into massive binders. Everything is done just before quitting time, and VC is already there with her superior, looking at the process BL was using, versus just having the machine do it. VC, why was she doing it this way? Trans 354, I really don't know, but if I had to guess, I'd say her bonus was tied to her profit. This company is paper reliant, so saving on your monthly copy allotment is out. If she does all the collating by hand, each time we touch a sheet of paper, it costs you money. And it is likely not a discounted, or included, cost in your contract. It probably isn't much, each time, but it can add up, especially at this company. VC and her boss thank me for getting everything done so quick, and I head home. Next day, I get to the copy center, and write off. BL, go home. This woman is livid, go home. Don't come in tomorrow. I don't care who calls, you're suspended. I go home and proceed to go on a massive bender. Because there's no work the next day, I turn off my phone. Prevents angry drunk dialing. While checking my phone, I send a message to VC, I tell her I will be out for a couple days, and to expect a production slowdown, and to pass it along. While I'm out of the world, my boss calls. And calls. And calls a lot more. She leaves messages about coming back in, getting work done, etc. Turns out VC's boss called her boss, the CEO, and told him about the job I'd done. CEO liked the job and wanted to thank me. And VC may have had them check the contract. And an order came from high up. All the bells and whistles I usually have the machines do. Turn time was faster than BL could manage. I was on the verge of being fired, so I reached out to a friend at a Kinko's I used to work at, about noon on my second day of suspension. They agreed to the same pay rate, and I was hired. I informed BL and said my goodbyes to VC and the rest of the ladies. BL was fired a week later. I heard through the grapevine it was poor human resource management. VC unhappy, her boss was pissed, and her boss was not happy. The next story is titled, Want to have hotel room with 2 double-size beds? Of course, sir. Your wish is my command, sir. I was just a customer, but hot damn. I had a hotel room booked for 2 nights, from a 5-star well-known hotel chain, that rhymes with Holiday Fin. Room was smallest, cheapest, with 2 double beds, probably even located below parking garage. That was about only room available, so it would have to do. About a month later, I arrive with my buddy to basically drop our stuff in the room, so we can take off right away, while the sun is still up. In the lobby, there is about 200-person group shouting all at once to the 2 ladies manning the desk. After making plans for few minutes to store our stuff elsewhere, the desk attendant notices us, as we clearly were not part of the huge group, so she waves us over, past the large group, and starts to handle our check-in. She politely asks us to fill the traveler forms while she's looking up my reservation. I thank her and try to make pleasant conversation about this and that, complimenting their uniforms and the hotel, trying to improve the sour atmosphere the angry mob has been generating all around. While we are filling the forms, angry man next to us, who was apparently the leader of the lobby mob, keeps shouting, loud, "I demand that you arrange us extra room with 2 double-size beds. We had late addition to our travel, and they need a room with 2 double-size beds." Right. Ducking. Now. Apparently, the arguing has been taking place for quite a while already. She tries to get a word in, but gets interrupted. "I don't care if your stupid crap hotel is full, it's your job to give us place to sleep. Stupid woman. Get us another room. And double-size beds. Don't try anything else, I'm not interested of anything else. You idiot. I wonder how you can keep your job, if you can't even arrange a room for us." Every time the main desk attendant tries to talk to the angry man, he rudely interrupts her, with more and more shouting. Only thing I can do, is to keep smiling at the ladies, sympathetically. We don't have double-size beds available, but we do have. Him, I don't want to hear. Just do your job and press the buttons to make it happen. You must be mentally slow, don't you? 2 double beds, or is that too difficult for you? The clerks shares a tired look with each other, but suddenly both have this lamp lighting above their heads. They converse for a moment, using their native language, while pointing their screens, and then proceeds to tell me, "Our apologies, sir, but unfortunately we don't have your room with 2 double beds available for you, which you had booked for. As you see, we are a bit full today," while she is gesturing to the mob in the lobby. My heart sinks a bit, until she continues, "So, because we are fully booked, only room we can offer to you, is the executive suite at the 24th floor, obviously for no extra cost. Unfortunately, it doesn't have 2 double-size beds." She takes eye contact with the angry man and continues, "But it has 4 king-size beds. Each in their own en-suites." Angry man drops dead silent and is just staring at us. His mouth just moves like of a mouth of a fish, who is stranded on a dry land. While looking at me again, she continues, "I hope you accept the free room upgrade, with our most sincere apologies in behalf of the hotel management. And of course all the room service is free, including the refreshments available in the suite kitchen and suite bar areas, and all hotel VIP facilities are in your disposal 24/7. Please do enjoy your stay and let us know if there is anything we can do to make your stay more comfortable." She dings a small bell and Piccolo takes our bags while gesturing towards the fancy separate elevator at the side. I'm so shocked that I can mutter only a little bit of thanks and follow the Piccolo. While we are making our way towards the elevator, the main desk is explaining to the angry man, "Sir, I'm happy to inform you that we were able to make arrangements to have single room with 2 double-size beds, available to accommodate your extra guests. That will be €199 added to your bill." Man snaps out of his trance-like state, and shouting resumes, "What the duck? I don't want some single room with double-size beds. I want free executive suite too. Why the duck does those duckers gets the ducking suite and I get some crappy single room? This is unacceptable. Why did you give my better room for those 2 instead of to me?" She now has much more commanding tone, and she responds, "Unfortunately, sir, our free executive suite is not available. It is booked now. I tried to offer you king size, but you were having none of it. So will you take the single room or not?" I can't tell accurately what was said next, but I'm quite sure it is lots of cursing and throwing more insults from the man, using the man's native language. All I have is this crap-eating grin while the bellhop closes the elevator doors, taking us up. Maybe half an hour later when we head out to check the city, the lobby has been cleared. We go to the desk to thank the two attendants and give them both good tip that we easily save with the free room service over the expensive hotel restaurant. Unfortunately, our schedule doesn't allow us to enjoy the free hotel VIP services much, but the ladies definitely earn a little bit of extra. It was great experience for us, and I still remember this clearly, after a long time. That front desk girl, she was truly maliciously compliant with the angry man. The next story is titled $20 Minimum. If you insist, mate. This story comes from Melbourne, AU's, where the liquor laws are pretty strict. We had a local pub near work that did $5 wines, beers during happy hour. It was a bit of a dump, but we didn't mind. 3 of us would go regularly every Friday to relax. We usually bought rounds for each other, so 3 at a time, or maybe just 1 each if not all of us wanted a top-up. Since this is a modern world, we'd pay by debit and just tap our card on the little machine. Simple. Easy. One week I get to the pub before the others, so I went to order a wine for myself and reserve a nice table in the sun. When I went to pay, the bartender informed me of the manager's new rule: to pay by card is now a $20 minimum. For cash, a new ATM had been installed in the corner that only gives 20s and charges $3.50 per cash out, of which the bar gets a good cut. Now I know it costs for every electronic transaction to occur, and it's not unusual to find small coffee shops asking for a $5 minimum to cover those costs, but $20 was outrageous, especially in a dive where all drinks are dirt cheap. It wouldn't even cover a usual round for us 3. The bartender had to shrug and insist it was the manager's new rule. I tried to argue against it, since I just wanted a single glass. The manager came out and firmly reiterated that I'd have to either buy 4 wines or get cash from the ATM. But I refused to spend money in order to access my own money. I asked for 4 wines. Now, I am a petite woman, it doesn't take too much to get me sloppy. I paid by card and sat there at the empty bar and pounded these 4 cab savs with the same speed that I'd usually nurse one. By the time I had finished, my friends were still not there. I asked the bartender for 1 more glass of wine. The manager was also still there, cleaning glasses. He told me again what he was instructed to say before: there's a $20 minimum, so. I ordered 4 more wines. The manager looked pleased that his system was working. He was pretty smug about it all and wouldn't budge on any customer's request. Before I paid for my second 4-glass round with my card, I asked the bartender, within clear earshot of the manager, a pretty basic question. You've both got your RSAs, right? All bartenders and bar owners are required to possess a responsible serving of alcohol license, obtained through the state's Commission for Gambling and Liquor. It's a heavily regulated industry, and a pretty strictly enforced license. Plain-clothed officers will try to catch out bartenders who don't carry their license on them while serving drinks, and they'll sit to observe in bars for reckless behavior, such as knowingly serving alcohol to an inebriated customer. I am not someone with any legal authority, but I know enough people in the bartending, casino industry to be aware of the laws. Of course, why? The bartender asked. He probably expected me to pull out a badge, but I am just a customer who wanted a glass of wine. I explained that it seems pretty irresponsible to serve a small woman 4 drinks simultaneously, when all I was asking for was 1. Seems as though, by the bar's lack of attention, I have become quite drunk, and now you're about to happily process my second purchase of 4 drinks, knowing full well that I'm here alone. 8 drinks in less than an hour? Does that seem responsible to you? The smug look on the manager's face quickly turned to anger. I think you've had enough, then. No. You've already poured 4 more. Here, take my card. Go on. Can't let all that wine go to waste. I mean, all I wanted was 1, but if I have to get 4. The bartender was very confused and a little worried. Losing their RSA would mean losing his job. The manager refused to process my order, and angrily poured 4 glasses of wine down the drain, a loss far greater than the small electronic transaction fee that would have come with my basic wine order. I was sad to see the wine go, but I was happy to tell them that I'm reporting them to the State Commission for breaches of their RSA. A petty move, but the manager chose greed over customer service and got what he deserved. I actually downloaded the complaint form online and began filling it out there at the bar, all while my body was now feeling the full force of 4 smashed wines. I was giggling while doing it, and slurring my words while asking for the manager's name and today's date. The bartender was very apologetic, and knowing none of this is his fault, I happily kept him off the form. By the time my friends arrived, I was pretty drunk. After telling my story, we decided to go somewhere else, and we definitely never went back. I don't know what came of the complaint exactly, likely a big fine, but the place shut down about 6 weeks later and became a brunch cafe. Seems like they lost all their regulars to a $20 minimum rule. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel and post some bear emojis in the comment.